Welcome to Tech Talks with Breaking Light Productions. I am Phoebe Roberts, the creator of Mrs. Hawking, and today's talk is our best seat in the house editing style. Okay, here is a question for all my fellow theater artists out there. Have you ever been part of a really great show that you wanted to preserve for posterity? And so you threw up a camera in the back of the house to record it as it performed, and then you went to like the cast party or something, and somebody was going to put it on, and you were really excited. And it was like watching a bunch of overexposed ghosts in a dark void with all the sound recorded underwater. Yeah, I have definitely been there. Capturing theater on film is hard. Mostly everything about the artistic choices and the technical choices are optimized for live performance. So it presupposes this live audience in the same physical space as the production. And then it chooses everything from like the acting style to the composition of the stage to the technical design in order to work in front of people in real time and real space, which I personally think are the distinguishing qualities of theater as an art form. So you can't just throw a camera at a live show like that and capture what the experience is really like, because those things are designed for people who are present, not for the recording on a camera. So if you are going to do that, if you are going to preserve something of what it's like to see this show on film, you have to adapt for the functions and requirements of film if you're going to have any hope in hell of it translating. But when you watch the Mrs. Hawking shows that we present here, you will notice that they are not cinema. Our goal wasn't to make cinematic adaptations of our theatrical stories, but instead to capture something of the theatrical experience in this permanent, accessible form that recording them allows. So we had to figure out what cinematic techniques we could borrow and adapt in order to record them while still keeping them feeling like theater. One of the most interesting challenges for us was how we would approach the editing, right? By editing in this case, I mean like the processing and the cutting and the assembling of the footage that we shot to make it into a show. And being able to use the techniques of editing gave us tons of advantages in how we presented it. Like we could shoot multiple takes and select the best ones to include in the final product. We could change between multiple camera angles to make sure that the watcher's always having the best view. And editing's ability to conduct the audience's attention just added a ton. Whereas on stage, it's really hard to like make the field of view any bigger or smaller or different during the course of a performance. With a camera, we could like point it at the things we wanted you to pay attention to, or we could zoom in and out, or we could add some motion to conduct your attention along with where we wanted you to be looking. But because we were using film not to make cinema, but to make sort of an adaptation of a different art form, we had to figure out how we would use its tools to like best support the effect that we wanted to achieve. Like there are many styles of editing. They can be characterized by things like how much does the camera move, how long are the shots before a cut, or how smooth or choppy is the rhythm of those cuts. Like these are all tools that make the audience feel something, and you choose them based on how you want the audience to feel. So we had to develop a style for ourselves that would capture what we wanted the audience to feel, as in like they were watching a theatrical play. And that was kind of tricky. There were actually a number of stylistic gaps that we had to bridge. Like, for example, everything on film tends to feel slower than it does in real life. People have more patience for things that are happening like right in front of them in a theater. So we had to stage our action and our blocking and especially our editing to make sure that nothing ever dragged on screen. However, at the same time, it is not a feature of theater to have your eyes bounce around the image in front of you all the time, the way that you can when you can cut between different viewpoints. So we settled on an editing style and an editing rhythm that favored slightly longer takes and smoother cuts and transitions with no abrupt perspective shifts. Because we wanted to maintain that natural conducting of the eye from one shot to the next, so you could follow the action similar to how you would if you were watching in the theater. Consider the issue of framing, which deals with what objects of interest are in the frame that you're looking at and what their physical relationship to each other is. It's typical in cinema to be able to get very close to the action and use tight framing. Maybe not all the time, but like close-ups are definitely a thing. But theater happens at a pretty extreme remove. Like they describe the action of theater as needing to conform to the 30-foot rule, which like it only has to look good from 30 feet away. Theatrical sets tend to a lot more openness visually so that the actors will stand out cleanly when you're looking at it. We don't want like a hard time following what's going on because the backdrops and stuff are too cluttered. So the ability to zoom in and out with the camera lets us direct focus and place emphasis on physical relationships in a way that could really express emotion or to eliminate distractions of what you're not supposed to be focusing on in any frame. But we found that if we zoomed in too tight, the characters seem kind of decontextualized and adrift in space. So in order to get the best balance of those tools, we elected to never use any framing tighter than a medium wide. That let you never lose track of where the characters were in space, what their relationship was to the stage and to the other actors, while still getting the benefit of being able to conduct focus. Finally, we had to take into account continuity of motion, or maintaining a consistent visual flow of action on screen so that the eye never has any trouble following it. This isn't an issue with a stage production, obviously, where the audience's viewpoint never changes, like you're sitting in your one seat the entire time and, the stage does not shift. And then all the action is going to unfold in the real world right in front of you. But when you can cut and seam together different takes from different perspectives, there's always this chance that you could confuse the viewer if your images jump around too much and they might not necessarily see the connection between what happened in the previous shot and the next one. So whenever we decided to change camera angles, we were very careful to make sure anything moving on stage appeared to make smooth progress from one shot to the next, to make sure that the eye was never jerked around. This allows the editing to be more subtle than intrusive, which helps to maintain that theatrical immersion where you're not used to having any editing at all. We call this editing style best seat in the house. It's designed to make you feel as if you're having a theatrical experience, but always keeping you at the best possible viewpoint to take in the action. It took us a lot of research and experimentation to develop it, and we definitely got better at doing it as we went along, but it was really worth the effort if we're able to sort of bring something of what it's like to see our shows in a manner that's more accessible, especially if there's something that keeps you from coming to the theater to see it live, like barriers of location or cost or mobility. And it means that we can share our shows more widely. And it's a really exciting chance to sort of develop an art form that other people work in it, obviously, but it's definitely not as fully explored as many other versions. And so I hope that our ability to capture our plays on film sort of brings them a little bit closer to you. You can watch all of our recorded Mrs. Hawking plays here on our YouTube channel at Mrs. Hawking.